Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Josh, and here we have Game 2 in a best-of-3 series between Liquid TLO, the purple Terran up here in the top right of Xel'Naga Caverns, and his opponent, Dignitas Merz. He's the yellow Terran down in the bottom left. These guys are playing in the same room. That's why TLO says don't look over your shoulder. GLHF, they are playing at a live event. It's the PokerIdol.com tournament, and this best-of-3 series is being played for the round of, I want to say, 16 for that tournament. And so far, TLO does have a one-game lead over Merz, and Merz, mostly notable for having extremely high APM, like ridiculously high APM. But TLO basically just eked out advantage over, advantage after advantage over Merz in that first game on Lost Temple. Just had more workers, he had better macro, he had a little bit sneakier drops, he was killing workers of Merz very effectively. And here in Game 2, just another TVT, so we should be seeing some mirrored build here for a little bit as they first get their SCVs all the way up to that orbital command, and usually a factory. All that usually is mirrored, but TLO actually going to be the first one to build a barracks here by a few seconds, and Merz is going to see this, so maybe something is going to be a little different here this time on Xel'Naga Caverns. We'll see what TLO's got up his sleeve. Merz wants to have this SCV survive long enough to see what's up TLO's sleeve as well, but those SCVs actually got pulled off the line and stabbed at him with their drills, so he's actually taken a few hits. But this barracks going to be completing soon. Gas just about to start harvesting here for TLO, so he will probably be able to get a tech lab on there very quickly if that's the route he chooses to go. Merz gonna try to leave the base. TLO getting jabs off every time this SCV walks past one of his workers. Very nice. First Marine is going to come out though before a tech lab, so not going to be doing anything like that extremely quickly, but you know, the first Marine could just be built to ward away that SCV, make sure he never comes back. Oh, and what was that? Tech Lab is being added on immediately after that first Marine finishes. Back at Merz base, he has his first barracks up as well. Orbital Command about to finish with the very standard Terran build, but TLO had his barracks first. He had his Marine out first. What is he going to be doing with it? I'm not sure. Maybe hunting down that SCV to see if he's at the Xel'Naga tower. Of course, he's not going to find anything there. And he does already have an SCV hanging on to the other Xel'Naga tower. So TLO is just going to head back to his base probably with his first Marine. And the tech lab is done now. We do see a Reaper being created out of this fast racks, so that's kind of interesting. Don't see a ton of Reaper play anymore these days. They used to be so incredibly overused because they're just incredibly fast and used to be able to get nitro packs very quickly, but of course you need a factory for that now. And coincidentally, TLO is building a factory now, so he could eventually get those nitro packs if he was willing to commit to several Reapers, but for just one, not really a wise investment, as you could be getting other great upgrades like Blue Flame, Pre-Igniter for those Hellions, or Siege Tech for Siege Tanks. So we'll see what he chooses to do, and it looks like that is going to be the only Reaper coming for TLO. It's moving across the map now, and hopping up the cliff. What will he find inside? Merz base, just a factory and a barracks so far, no add-ons. Oh, reactor going down right as I say that. But here comes the Reaper. Is Merz going to be able to respond to that? He has 5 Marines here, so I have to imagine he's going to be okay, but the Reaper did manage to snag 3 kills before going down, almost got a 4th. Unlucky for TLO, he couldn't get one more shot off and kill that SCV here with 9 health, but Merz responding to that pretty quickly, but losing 3 SCVs that quickly is pretty bad. I mean, it's going to make a slight difference, of course, when these bases aren't saturated yet. Those SCVs are very important, and Starport coming up for Merz now, completing that 1-1-1. TLO also has a Starport up, and he's getting a Banshee incredibly quickly. Hellion, Marauder, and a couple of Marines already out. This first Hellion from Merz just trying to peek up the ramp, not going to find anything except a bunch of units from TLO, and here they do a little bit of a driving battle. Got some road rage going on between these two Hellions. Looks like TLO is not done. He does want to try and kill off this Hellion, and the SCV is here to help him out, but the SCV does go down. Look at this. It's like a drive-by burning between these two Hellions, and TLO comes out the victor there. Switch back to the production tab, just make sure we don't miss anything. Cloak and that Banshee, well, the Banshee going to be completing soon. Cloak still has quite some time on it, but if the Banshee is going to fly over to Merz base, it will eat up a lot of that time anyway. Raven is coming out for Merz very quickly. Did he scan and see that starport on the tech lab? It looks like he must have, or that perhaps that Hellion got some vision on it, but getting that Raven out very quickly to prevent any cloaked Banshee harass from really whooping him. Lots of Marines out as well to be able to deal with that Banshee. So as long as he has detection and Marines in range, this first Banshee, which is now on its way, shouldn't be too much of a problem. Cloak's still being researched, so TLO did not cancel that. Has had no vision inside Merz base to make him want to cancel, I don't believe. No, he never even saw the starport. So Banshee coming along now. Cloak gonna finish before TLO moves in, most likely, and TLO actually getting a Raven of his own just in case Merz is planning something similar. Of course, we know that he isn't, but Siege Tech is being upgraded for both players. Merz getting a Viking out quickly. Last game on Lost Temple, he didn't really get any Vikings, so that's a little bit of a change of pace. Now Cloak is done. TLO moves in with this single Banshee. What is he going to be able to do? He focuses that Mule down very quickly and then starts in on the SCVs. Of course, this Raven and these Marines are here. 3 kills for the Banshee so far, and Merz is not going to be able to snag the kill just yet. Kill number 5 goes down for this Banshee. Oh man, these Marines can just walk up and shoot it like 3 times and it'll go down, but TLO's Banshee control is really sick. Now that this Viking is out, there's no way he's going to be able to survive. 7 kills total for that Banshee. Hell of an investment. Worked out pretty well for TLO. Let's look at units lost so far. Obviously in TLO's favor, as he did just get a bunch of kills there. Of course, Banshees are kind of expensive too, so really not too big of a deal as far as resources lost or efficiency or anything like that. 53 supply for both players. Both have the same number of production facilities, and TLO starting to move down now into his natural area. Looks like he wants to expand here soon. Merz did actually snag an SCV kill there, and he's going to continue the rest of the way up to TLO's base. Both players do have Siege Tech completed now, and both players do have Ravens out, so we'll see if any auto turrets or point of fence drones are dropped. Merz going to fly overhead there and see these tanks sieged up. He does not want to mess with that just yet. Perhaps going to try from another angle. We'll see what he does. If there are any buildings close enough to TLO's ledge, he could actually siege up and do some spotting with these flying units. It looks like he is going to continue on and see if he can maybe do something with that. Oh, and a second Banshee coming out for TLO is going to be caught by the Raven. Wow, did those missiles not do any damage because it was cloaked? I'm pretty sure it had 8 HP before those missiles hit. Interesting. But a couple of auto turrets being dropped now, vision being supplied for these siege tanks, which are just barely in range of this tech lab on the factory, so that is going to be killed off. TLO responding now to these auto turrets being dropped by the Raven, so auto turrets, of course, going to be taken out, but TLO forced to move his factory. It got kind of low on health, but should be able to repair that up, no problem. Now we have a Viking on Viking battle. TLO going to be the victor there if he doesn't back off, so Merz does indeed back off. And this assault's pretty much going to be done since there are no medevacs here to lift these units up. There's not really a whole lot that Merz can do from this point. There's still a single auto turret here that Merz drops right before he backs off, so TLO actually going to come attack it here, I think, soon. But back in Merz base, he is adding on barracks number 2 and 3. He's dropping an expansion. Actually, it's already done, turning into an orbital command now. We have a single Banshee coming in from TLO. He's just building them basically non-stop. Now he has started into Viking production, but this is the 3rd Banshee we've seen so far out of TLO. Cloaks up before moving into the base. Let's see how many kills he's able to get this time around. No turrets on the ground, no Raven in the area, and not enough scan juice available on that command center to throw a scan real quick, so TLO could actually get a few kills here now that the Raven is finally back and a couple of Vikings are here. Banshee going to have to try and hurry up and get some kills. I think it had 4 or 5 there before being finished off. This auto turret going to take a few shots at TLO's Vikings. Could just, you know, take him off hold position. There he goes. And now he's actually sending in units to kill off an auto turret, which of course is kind of weird since the turret, of course, will time out anyway on its own. He actually took some unnecessary damage there. There's nothing in range of the auto turret. He could have let it just time out. Merz does have a Marine over here just hanging out, waiting to see if TLO takes over this spawn, but it should be a long time. Not the spawn, the actual mining location, I should say. It's going to be a long time before he even considers that, as he still has this base open. He has this base available. He could come over here, but I mean, at least Merz is trying to get some additional vision. TLO starting to move now with a lot of Marines, a couple of tanks, and a Hellion. We'll see where he's headed with this stuff. He's sneaking around the back here for some reason. Not anything to be found, though. A couple of Vikings and that Raven still in the air for Merz. not going to be a big deal right now. I'm not sure. TLO looks like he's going to be taking the secret hallway, but there's already a supply depot being built here. Merz with some good foresight there means that he is going to be prepared. If TLO kills off the supply depot, of course it will set him back on supply, but he'll know that these tanks and marines are coming, and he can respond to this with his own units. And there we see they do unsiege, and they're going to come down here by the visibility blockers just to get ready for these marines and tanks. TLO thinks better of it. Obviously, he just killed off a depot there, so Merz knows that he's going to be there. So he instead is starting to move around a little bit now with his additional forces, sieging up. Has some marines available for mobility. He's got stim pack completed, getting combat shields finished up right now, or at least halfway done, and getting an engineering bay up for those +1 weapon upgrades. Another starport coming up as well. And he's building a third orbital command here, trying to take out his destructible rocks, so he's probably going to be taking this third base here soon as well. Just chilling with his marines and tanks, just chilling with everything else over here. TLO has Merz basically pinned inside his base, so he knows that Merz is not actually doing any expanding. Merz is giving up a lot of map visibility right here, or map vision, I should say. Just can't really go right or up because TLO is waiting. Let's look at the army size real quick. TLO slightly ahead, 134, 117. Harvester count, TLO way ahead, 57 to 44. And now we got some mobility out of Merz. What is he going to be doing? Just trying to take out these destructible rocks. And TLO actually has a siege tank right here, able to blast some of these marines. Merz going to possibly lose. Yes, he does lose a single marine. It could have been worse. But now these destructible rocks are going to be blasted from a safe distance away from TLO. Point defense drone goes down. A couple of Vikings move in, trying to snipe off the Viking and Raven combo here from Merz. Not sure why these medevacs are getting out so far ahead. Maybe to just do some quick spotting. This Marine's still here with a couple of turrets from TLO hanging out nearby. TLO starting to move now with his Marines and tanks. Looks like he did just drop a scan there. He's going to see this very large force of bio and tanks, though. Most likely not going to do anything here, but he did start to move up a little bit at this gold base to make sure Merz doesn't take it. So now this orbital command has floated over to the third. Destructible rocks aren't finished off yet, but he already transferred a ton of workers. Merz starting to move up through the middle of the map now. Going to be able to get us some free kills here as TLO was not quite sieged up and ready, so he's going to score 3 tank kills and even a Hellion kill, maybe even a Viking up there I think I just saw. Raven just dancing back and forth here, providing vision. Banshee also on the field, has 1 kill before going down, sorry. And Merz continues up the gut here. Let's look at the army sizes. Merz actually has an advantage for the first time in potentially this whole series, but TLO is ready for him this time with his siege tanks, and Merz is just going to back off. Merz really needs to be a little bit more aggressive with his drops and things, I think, if he's going to compete with TLO. TLO sieged up with his Marines and tanks back here, waiting for Merz to just walk into this little trap. TLO drops a scan there, so the visibility blockers don't quite matter so much, and he's going to survive this with, well, his tanks will survive at least. He actually will score a supply depot kill as well if he drops another scan, or it might just burn down. We'll see. Nothing else really going up on the minimap, so we'll just watch this supply depot explode. Boom. So Merz supply capped right now, 142, 142, and TLO sitting at 148 over 185, so he's not going to be blocked anytime soon. Marauders and tanks and Marines coming up for TLO, just a Marauder and an additional command center coming for Merz now. He really needs to catch up on bases as TLO is way ahead still by 14 harvesters. His income should be really trumping Merz right now. You can see in minerals and gas that is the case. Lots of Marines being totally blasted down by those siege tanks. Good job by Merz being sieged up and ready for this. Now we see some movement down here on the minimap. These tanks are going to siege up in the mineral line. Merz pulling a lot of SCVs. This is reminiscent of what we saw in Metalopolis with all these SCVs surrounding these tanks. They're going to continue to blast and, of course, injure each other, but a big chunk of SCVs right there just got destroyed. So Merz defending that, but not without his share of losses. Now we see the harvester count even further tipped into TLO's favor. He's up by 24 harvesters, and he's got pretty good sky control right now. Merz seems to have a handle on the ground at least, but TLO just making it difficult for Merz to get anything done here. He's sieged up all over the place. Merz can at least start to take this, or at least start thinking about taking this gold base. This command center's just been sitting here a while. We see Merz moving in now, stimming up, moving in with these tanks unsieged against this tank line. He is actually going to score a lot of kills there. Vikings shooting away at these medevacs, though. Merz is unable to respond to that. Vikings are in a really good spot there with that excellent range. Siege tanks in a good spot for Merz as well once again, and the armies are very close here. supply is a little different, but Merz actually has a more valuable force here, and obviously the harvester count is going to mean the difference here. Merz has a lot more fighting units, while TLO has a lot stronger economy, and now is finally floating this command center over here. Is he going to make it into a planetary fortress? I can only guess that he will. It's pretty much what you see 90% of the time or more. Now Merz moving on even further, going to score even more tank kills here before losing too much infantry. Now he's going to move in on the gold base that's just now building for TLO, probably going to be able to kill this off as well. And he does. Merz stims up once again, but without any medevacs, he could risk losing a lot of those bio forces. We'll see exactly how far he plans on moving in with these tanks and marines and marauders. He needs to be careful with his infantry so he doesn't blast his own units right now. And actually it looks like he's just going to sit comfortably with his tank line, kill off a nice barracks right there. Cloaked Banshee moving in, already has 1 kill, scoring a tank kill and a marine there. And what is going on over here? It looks like Merz has a medevac, tried to drop some marauders on top of these tanks, but they were able to take care of themselves maybe. And now TLO keeping Merz away from his gold base, so these guys are just trading off. But since TLO has been working off of 3 bases for so long and Merz still hasn't been able to get one up, he is falling farther behind. More Banshees coming in every time they're cloaked too, so the fact that there's no Ravens here and no scans going down means this Banshee is going to be incredibly effective, killing off tanks left and right. Really, really good for TLO. He's going to score another tank kill right here. Wow, so these Banshees really becoming the MVPs very quickly in this second game here on Xel'Naga Caverns between Merz and TLO. Merz now, let's look at the army count once again. TLO pulled a little bit ahead, 134 to 123. Harvester count actually slightly evened up now, so Merz actually did put a dent in TLO's economy by stopping that gold base, but he's already started rebuilding it. Merz, on the other hand, backing off of his gold. He doesn't want to lose it again while he's still rebuilding up his forces. Lots of SCVs being pulled right here, going to repair that command center up most likely. And TLO is on the move. He's got a couple of Banshees, lots of Vikings, some tanks, and bio in tow. He's got 1-0 upgrades on his bio units, while Merz has 0-0 still. That could come into play here very soon as well. Vikings and Banshees just floating around, seeing what they can pick off. Cloak goes down once again. Scan coming very quickly from Merz this time, though. Banshee's still intact, still scoring some kills here. Siege Tank's going to help TLO here, but Merz does have the superior force. Lots of SCVs here, too, to try and soak some damage or at least get some repairs up on Merz's forces. He is killing a lot of tanks once again. TLO losing those tanks pretty carelessly just based off of bad positioning, but these Cloaked Banshees once again in the area trying to score some tank kills. Merz does drop a scan and stims up those Marines to take it out. Now a Siege Tank from TLO actually scored a chunk of kills. Kills. I'm saying kills over and over because that is what is happening. It's just constant, non-stop action here in this TVT. It's actually pretty back and forth for a TVT. It's not just like, hey, I'm going to sit outside my gold base for half an hour while you do the same. They are really actually attacking each other quite a lot, and TLO just has the superior production capabilities. It looks like he's at 147 supply to Merz 98, and these Cloaked Banshees just wreaking havoc on these tank lines right now. He does have actually a Raven in the area and some missile turrets now. TLO is starting to move with these bio units, but as these tanks siege up, they're going to be blasted immediately by TLO. Viking providing some vision there. Point defense drone goes down, but it's not really going to matter against these siege tanks. Look at the incredible range on the siege tank, being able to hit this refinery from there. Merz not going to try to repair that up. Instead, he wants to get this planetary fortress up. I'm surprised he hasn't repaired his command center back up to full, to be honest, because if that's a planetary fortress that's already at half HP, it's going to be much easier to take out than a planetary fortress at full HP. And TLO is double expanding right now to this far right expansion area, and the far left expansion area, while Merz still sitting on 3 bases here. 71 harvesters for TLO, 48 for Merz. He's still losing SCVs somehow, and TLO scans and moves in with a very large bioforce. Planetary Fortress is going to rack up some kills here, doing some splash damage, but TLO tucked inside this corner, still hitting SCVs. Merz forced to pull out his SCVs, but now he's attacking the Planetary Fortress of TLO, who's already set to repair the Planetary Fortress, and lots of big blasts going down from both sides. These siege tanks, of course, it's all a ground war right now, depending totally on your position. Some Marines getting blasted once again, and TLO looks to be pretty staunch in his defense right now. 165 against 108 in total supply. Merz did have to pull a lot of units there, but he did finally clean up that little attack from TLO. Right now, though, we're just continuing the tank battles. Scans going down, Vikings in the air. Vision is so important. The fact that siege tanks can hit beyond their own vision is kind of ridiculous, but you know, it comes into play quite a lot in this TVT matchup. You need those Vikings in the air, you need a lot of scans to make sure that your siege tanks are hitting at their full potential. Now Merz is starting to move once again. He's going to actually catch TLO sort of out of position, unsieged. Could actually manage to kill all of this, but TLO has so many Marines here with +1 upgrades on the attack. They might actually be able to clean up the tanks of Merz, and this last tank getting in on the fun as well. 3 tanks himself, and TLO is actually going to come out on top here with these 2 Marines in single tanks, so he could actually move in, kill off that turret, kill off that refinery going up. He's basically got a massive advantage right now, 153 supply against 74, so double the supply. Multiple bases going up right now, 70 harvesters against 45. TLO still just looking good. Killing off this turret now, trying to repair this planetary fortress is Merz, but 3 siege tanks blasting away are going to do a lot of damage. It's going to take a ton of minerals, of course, to keep that planetary fortress at full health, and TLO just has more units right now to be able to fight. Merz trying to repair up, still sitting at 76 supply against TLO's 165, going further and further into TLO's favor. Now he's starting to do a bit of a pincer attack here from the left side, sieging up, moving in with this Banshee. Once again, a Banshee in the fray, getting some kills there. Merz will be able to pick that off, but Planetary Fortress still taking hits. When will TLO feel confident enough to just stem up and try and take this out? I don't know. Merz trying to fight back a little bit here, but siege tanks are just so powerful. TLO moving in from the left side as well. Merz is stuck between tanks and more tanks here. TLO moving in now with a big stimmable force of bio, taking out that last siege tank in a moment. Maybe not just yet, but Merz GGing just the same. Good game, well played, good luck in the tournament. So TLO going 2-0 against Merz in this round of 16 for the PokerIdol.com tournament. €1,500 first prize, so we'll see if TLO is able to continue advancing or if he is going to hit a snag somewhere. Merz put up a good fight, but TLO actually basically had his number the entire time in the entire series. Just Merz could not expand anywhere. He never even got this third base started, while TLO had, 50 command centers by the end of this game. He had them all, basically every other possible expansion except this third for Merz. And he was mined out at his natural, he was mined out at his main long ago, and TLO just had the endurance, had better production, had stronger economy throughout this game, and will continue to move on. So thank you very much for watching. I'll have the rest of these games from the PokerIdol.com tournament coming soon.